So sometime after his resurrection from our grave, the Lord Jesus sends his boys up to Galilee, their old stomping grounds, and they decide they have a little bit of free time on their hands, and they're going to go ahead and go fishing. So they get in their boats, they head out a few yards out to sea. They fish all night, and they just don't catch a thing. There's no keepers from that evening. As day breaks, they can see a man walking along the shore from which they embarked. And the man calls out to them, depending on the translation, "Hey guys," or "Children, have you caught anything tonight?" And they yell back, "Nope, not a thing." And he says, "Do me a favor, let your nets down on the other side of the boat, and let's see what happens." I don't know what my holy imagination will allow me to think that the fishermen apostles thought at that moment. Were they suspicious that they were having an Easter encounter with Jesus? Were they annoyed that some guy on the shore was getting in their business and telling them, the professional fishermen, what to do? Who knows? But for whatever reason, they obey. They take the risk. They put up with the annoyance. They let the nets down on the other side of the boat. And as they drag the nets up, they are miraculously, supernaturally full. They are full to the point where the nets are almost breaking. And one of the men makes a wager. He speaks it to his buddies. He says, "I think the one on the shore is the Lord." Well, our good friend, impetuous Peter, Rocky himself, decides that he is going to go show his gratitude to the risen one. He's not going to miss out on this chance to thank the risen one for all of the blessings that he's received, not the least of which, of course, is this miraculous haul of fish. So he puts on his clothes. If you've ever wondered about that strange detail in this gospel story, we suspect that the menfolk who fished back in those days probably did so darn near in their skivvies, if not less. So he puts his street clothes back on and then jumps into the water. That's always been a moment for us when we think how easily Peter loses his sense of how things should work in his pursuit of an encounter with Jesus. Dives in the water, swims those who knows how many yards, 100 yards to shore, and comes to shore and finds that there is a coal fire that has started, and that the table, in a sense, has been set for a fish fry picnic on the shore. And the guys who are in their right mind more often than Peter bring the boat to shore, and the net is just so full that they need plenty of help to drag it forward. St. John says that there were 153 fish in that net. I don't know if that necessarily means that St. John the Evangelist was talking about someone actually taking the time to count 153 fish in the miraculous catch. But that number, 153, I've read, signifies for people in ancient times the exact number of tribes there are in the whole human family. There are 153 nations or peoples in the human family. So when that net of fish comes forward and is brought to shore, with 153, it's this great symbolic moment that all of the human family, every last one of our tribes, is going to be brought, collected from the abyss of the sea into the fellowship and service of Jesus by the witness of the apostles. That's what that little detail probably is meant to do. They bring some of the choice fish from that 153 to the fish fry. And it says that They were afraid to ask Jesus if he was Jesus. Boy, brothers and sisters, keep that somewhere in your pocketbook or close to your heart. It can be challenging even for those of us who are very close to Jesus. It can be unbelievably challenging to discern whether that's him or not. That's the adventure of this Christian journey. He hides from us in plain sight, and so much of our faith is a wager on, yeah, I think that's him. At least this time, I think that's him. In the context of this wonderful fish fry, this moment of unbelievable abundance that Jesus has blessed his buddies with, Peter and Jesus have an exchange. You know, Pete, Rocky, had a tough time when it came to Jesus' passion. He denied him 3 times. He had the opportunity to say, yes, I know him. Yes, I am a part of him. Yes, I am a follower of Jesus. And he said, don't know him, never seen him, wouldn't want to be caught with him. And at this fish fry, Jesus initiates an experience of reconciliation with Rocky. He says, so Peter, do you love me? And Peter says, yes. Again, Peter, do you love me? Yes, I do, he replies. 3rd time, Peter, do you love me? And this is almost laughable to me, how Peter responds the 3rd time. It says, according to St. John, the evangelist's witness, that Peter was sad that Jesus would have to ask him 3 times. I'm like, Peter, are you serious? After you denied your Lord 3 times, you're going to have hurt feelings about the risen Lord of creation's mercy asking you if you love him 3 times? Doesn't seem that big an imposition to me. Tells us something about how the mercy of Jesus works. The mercy of Jesus is not like a parent who is an enabler, who is a pushover, not the kind of parent that allows the children just to walk all over him. Instead, Jesus is a parent that when there is a break in the relationship, Jesus takes the time to say, not, oh, let's just sweep it under the rug and forget about it. You're fine, I'm fine, we're all fine. Jesus wants better than that for you and for your relationship with him. Instead, he asks you, so you remember that time where things didn't work out the way they probably should have if you are a follower of mine? You remember that moment when you spoke that word or you failed to speak it, when you did that thing or you failed to do it, when that went down? You remember that? When you weren't a member of my body, baptized with my power and authority to wage shalom on this hurting world? You remember that? Jesus comes to us and says, are we done with that yet? Is that finished? Can we put an end to that? Are you ready to move forward? He doesn't just sweep it under the rug and say, oh no, you've all had that person in your life who lets themselves be walked all over, and you do something wrong to them and you say, you know, I'm really sorry that happened. I didn't realize, or I was having a bad day or what. And they say, oh no, don't forget about it. That's perfectly fine. That's not Christian forgiveness. That's letting yourself get walked all over. The forgiveness that Jesus models is actually taking the time to say, to check in, are you ready to allow the love of God to move you past that point where you were stuck? I don't think he says it like that. That sounds kind of in your face. I think it's quite gentle, at least the way he does it with Pete at the fish fry. So, are you ready for love? Are you ready to love me? And therefore, are you ready to love the people around you and the people of this world? Are we ready to move past that sticking point? That's good news. That Jesus doesn't just let us off the hook, that he wants to bring us further into his resurrection power. That's a good thing. We don't just get left as we are, though we sing, "Just as I am." He is committed to seeing us become ambassadors of his reign. That's good. That's good news. But now, my dad grew up Prairie Roman Catholic, and I'm sure this would be true for people from a whole variety of denominations. And he was a little bit of a troublemaker. Yeah, he was. Dad, if you're watching, thank you for being our sermon illustration this morning. Pops, they have fun there on the prairie. They got in trouble. But what they would do is, if they knew they were going in for a particularly exciting Saturday night, they would go to 5 p.m. Mass on Saturday afternoon. Get themselves all cleaned up, get the sin forgiven, and then go out on the night with a clean slate. And if it was a particularly exciting Saturday night, then you had to try to wake up and go back to Mass on Sunday morning to get things straight again. And there was this great system in place where you could go and get cleaned up, and you were ready for being back at zero, being back to your life how you wanted to live it, and you didn't have to worry about God being angry with you. I don't want you to worry about God being angry with you, brothers and sisters. God is committed to you becoming, by his mercy, an ambassador for his reign, for peace and love and forgiveness and hope and mercy. There is no question about that. But forgiveness is not like Jesus sweeping your the times or moments where you don't look so much like him. He's not interested in just sweeping those under the rug. It's not like they're written up on a whiteboard and he's the eraser that God the Father uses to take those away. It doesn't seem to be meant to work that way. Because you see, in this story, at the fish fry, each time Jesus says to Peter, are you ready to get past your stuck point, where you didn't look so much like me, you didn't talk so much like me, you didn't behave so much like me? Are you ready to get past that stuck point and enter into the practice of my love, to receive it as a gift and to share it with the human family? Are you ready to do that? Peter says, yes, I'm ready to do that. And each time Peter says, yes, I'm ready to move past my stuck point, yes, I'm ready to be an ambassador of your love out in the world, Jesus says, then I've got a job for you. Forgiveness comes with a job. Again, Jesus says, are you sure? You ready to move past that stuck point where you didn't so much look like me? Ready to become an ambassador of love? Yes, Lord, I am. Then I've got a job for you. It's the family business. Third time, are you ready? Move past that, move into this? Yes, Lord, of course I am. Okay. Then it's time for you to take up your place again in the family business. Forgiveness, grace, is always a commission. It is not a get-out-of-hell-free card. It is not an eraser on the whiteboard. It is not the rug under which the times when you don't look so much like Jesus get swept under. Forgiveness doesn't work that way. Forgiveness is a commission. It's you becoming a part again of the family business. And Jesus models that family business at the fish fry, right? When he talks about feeding his sheep and tending the flock and feeding his lambs, he talks about doing the very thing for them that he has just pulled off for the apostles. They had nothing after a night's work. They haul in the nets at Jesus' command. They bring in an unbelievable abundance, an abundance that comes to them by the grace of Jesus. He feeds them with it, and then he says, okay, now you are going to go out and do some feeding. You are going to go do this same thing. So, you are forgiven. You remember that time when you or your words or your deeds or the lack thereof didn't look so much like Jesus? That's not what God has in mind for you. And if you are ready to say no more to that, and ready to say yes to this ministry of love, receiving it and sharing it, then you have a job in Christianity. And it's not just to get people into pews. It's not just to make sure that your spawn, your offspring, enter into the cycle of sacramental life. It is so much bigger than that. You should look at your life and you should find where your abundance is. Where is your miraculous haul of fish? Is it a person that God put in your life? People that God put in your life? A career? A gift set? Talents? Where is your abundance? Wherever it may be, whatever it may be, your part in the family business is to put that abundance to work for others. Some of you have made a lot of money off of the abundance that Jesus has entrusted to you. You made a lot of money, and good for you. That's good. We don't have a problem with that. We're not ascetics here. We're not monks. We admire those who are able to put their resources to work. That's a great thing. That's an admirable thing. But there comes a point where you're going to start experiencing diminishing returns, where more and more is not going to make you feel better and better. So it's time, maybe now, maybe this Easter, maybe this spring, to take that abundance and do something for Christ's reign of love. And I can't tell you what that is. I'll say amen there.